Ladies and gentlemen, can I hand over to our chief disruptor?
Wow. Actually, that story is so true. I've been begging and begging to come to Pony Express. I even shaved all my hair off just to get here. So look, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pony Express. I am a first-timer here, and I'm really excited to see all you here. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about disruptive marketing and what does that mean. And before I actually start in my talk, I was going to ask you that question, who of you here has got a business and stuff, but Anik just took that thunder from me. I already know all of you got your businesses and what you're doing now, so that's really great. So I want to tell you how I came up with this presentation in the first place. I was actually at another event where someone was talking about social media and digital marketing. How many of you do your own social media and your own digital marketing? Brilliant. And here he is talking about email sequences and how you got to write on Facebook and you got to do this. And then I had 20 minutes after him. And I said to him, I go, do you know what? Just forget the whole bloody thing that he's just told you, because if you don't understand the context of who you're speaking to, what's the point speaking to them in the first place? Agreed? Yes. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world of enterprise. There is no one same customer out there. Every single customer is different. You look the same, you don't eat the same, you don't feel the same. You may have similarities, but you're all different. So when you're in that environment of being a different person, everyone has different behaviours and different attitudes. Now I'm going to start by telling you that your perceptions, the way you see something, dictates the way behaviour from what you see. And then your behaviour starts to impact or influence your attitude. And the action that you take is a direct response to the attitude you have towards something. So if you fall in love with something, because you heard of love at first sight kind of thing, the reason why you fall into this kind of thing is the behavior that you've got is based on the perception that you have. The action that you take is based on the attitude that you have towards it. So I'm not a mathematician. I hate maths. Absolutely hate maths. You know, it's one of the biggest things, my biggest sort of downsides. So really, this is about the only formula that I have, is action equals attitudes plus behaviours. What does action equal? Brilliant. So at the end of the day, whatever you're going to do today, when you get up, when you're nervous and stuff like this, just remember any action that you take, any results that you're achieving in whatever it is that you're doing is a direct correlation to the way you see something, you behave, and the attitude you have towards it. If you want to change your results, you've got to change your attitude. To change your attitude, you've got to change your behaviour. To change your behaviour, you've got to look at something differently. Simple as that. And customers do this all the time. And us as business owners, I tell you, what happens all of a sudden, we go into business mode. We think to ourselves, we're no longer a consumer, we are the provider. So that means you have to buy the way I tell you have to buy. Because at the end of the day, the customer is not always right. The customer doesn't know what they want. We are the purveyors of what they want. Wrong, people. Customers know what they want. Introduction of social media, digital marketing, and these little things called smartphones, they're the new TVs. Our TVs that are on the wall are now becoming the radios of communication. Because of things like Google, because of the way in which social media works, our consumers are more educated. So they know what they want. It's your responsibility to give them what they need. It's different. I want a Ferrari, but right now, I just need a smart car. As business owners, your responsibility is not to give your customer what they want, but excite them through what they need. But I have a simple strategy about this. Some of you will probably have the same marketing strategy with the same email sequences and the same little Facebook posts going out on repeat over and over and over and over again. What you try and do is be a bit smart and just change the picture to make it look different. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. You've got to adapt and change the way you do things. Understand that customer behaviour, under the behaviour, that will dictate their attitude and it also determines their action. You can see this. I tell you something. You can see this. I'm the kind of guy that will stand there and watch people shop. I do. You know what? You like sleeping naked in synagogues, basically. I like watching people when they shop. You know, simple as that. I thought you did to Annie just now. No, no. I know. I'm just joking. But the point being here is I like to watch people's behaviours. Now, how many of you have been to a supermarket and they have this kind of little assortment of freebies that you can try? Now, there are three types of people. There are three types of people, ladies and gentlemen. There are one person who just, I'm too posh to try free samples and I'm too busy. You've got the kind of curious person that says, there's something new, let me go and try this. Okay, and then they thought, this is quite nice, I might go and buy it. And then you've got the whole feed your family for 7 that comes in. See? Behaviours, attitudes, actions. This can happen to you in your business as well, so be very, very careful. So customers and attitudes and behaviours. So what we have alongside this is my house. Not my house. This is the house in the market that you actually live in. And for over the last 7 years of studying the attitudes and behaviours of businesses and customers, I've come up with a conclusion that there are 4 types of customers in the market. 50, 40, 7, and 3. And I'm going to talk you through these very, very, very quickly. Because you're going to see these customers in your own businesses. Now you see them, you've got to learn how to respond to them. Okay? So don't worry about if you're not getting all the information in, because I've kept it purposely small text, so you can't take the pictures from there. You'll have to zoom in. So let's start with 50%. 50% of any market, 50% of any market has a behaviour of, I want it for free. Half of you in this room want something for free. Agreed? Do you know what that means? That doesn't mean that you're cheap. No disrespect to Indians, I'm an Indian, I'm cheap. I don't like paying for anything, all right? I hate paying for things, basically. My wife goes, what are we going to do if I want to buy a new Christmas tree? I'm like, hell no. Just use the one that we have. You know, it's only for 2 weeks, for crying out loud. What do you need a new bloody one for? Want it for free. The attitude is, I'm not loyal. If someone goes, yeah, you're too expensive, they're not loyal to you. And do you know why they're not loyal to you? No, yes, they want it for free, that's obviously. It's because they don't understand you. They just don't understand you. Pure and simple. Why? And all right, let me give you an example of this very, very quickly. First example, Spotify. Who's on Spotify? Who's got Spotify? Keep your hands up if you still got the free version of Spotify. Hell yeah. You can put your hands down now. Let me give you the example why. I'm going to do it myself and my wife. My wife pays £10 a month for Spotify. She uses it once every 3 months. I use it every day religiously, and I don't care. I will listen to those adverts. I'll listen to those adverts. In fact, I can even repeat back verbatim to the guy that says, you know, watch this advert and get 30 minutes of, you know, absolutely. It's the way, the tonality and all this kind of stuff. Like, no, seriously, I don't have a problem with that. My point being is, one day I said to my wife, you spend £120 a year on something you only use 4 times a year. Why? And she just goes, I want my own playlist, I want to pick my own product, and you know, I don't want to listen to these adverts, and it's not nice when you've got friends around and you're having, you know, the music and all. I said, when do you ever play the music when friends are around? Why are you doing this? Because I want to. My attitude is, I'm not loyal to Spotify. I'm not loyal to it. I refuse to pay. If I can keep it for free, I'll keep it for free. Next example, Dropbox. How many of you use Dropbox? Keep your hands up if you use Dropbox. Keep your hands up if you use Dropbox for business, the one that you have to pay for. Do you pay for it? Keep your hands up if you pay for it. You see how majority of the room goes down? You can put your hands down now again. All right, can you imagine, for those of you who live in the world of free, who just use the free 5 gig or 25 gig that they give you, imagine the CEO of Dropbox turns around tomorrow and announces, because of Brexit, I'm going to now start charging everyone $15.99 a month to use that free stuff. What would you do? Who would go somewhere else? Who would just say, screw that, I'm just going to carry on using USBs? You're not loyal. because you don't understand the value. Some people turn around and say, oh, I don't mind, I've got too many files to move around, so I'm going to keep it there. What I'm trying to tell you is that people need to be stimulated to understand what value is to them. What does value equal? Value equals importance. What's important to me? What's important to you is different. You buy based on value, and that value is an emotional importance to you. Some people buy convenience, others buy technical support. Some buy because they want to be the best in their friend circle. Whatever it is, your motivation is, you need to be able to stimulate your market. 50% of your market don't get you. They don't understand you, and you need to stimulate. I'm not talking get a cattle prod and boom, but something along the lines. Entice them into your world. Give them a free sample. Believe me, they'll be queuing. But build your strategy on stimulation for almost 50%. You can see them coming. Oh, have you got anything for free? Yeah, stay over there. Stimulate yourself over there. Stay happy over there. That didn't come out right. Let's move on quickly to 40%. 40% of people in a market have a behaviour of, I didn't know that. I'm going to explain this in context to you very, very quickly in a second. That attitude represents what happens next. How many of you have seen a PPI claim advert? How many of you have watched it on TV? How many of you have heard it on the radio? How many of you, I've almost got it. My kids have got it. Sometimes in between the advert, in between the shows, that guy comes up and it says, Gladstone Brooks. I've got it in my head now. I've got the flipping jingle. I just can't get over it. But let me tell you something. When PPI adverts started coming out, do you know what they did to you? They said, did you know you can get this back? Did you know that there is a flaw in somewhere? And did you know that the government has backed all this money up? And did you know, and did you know, and did you know? And what you're doing is it's just like taking you to another level. I guarantee some of you, even though you get fed up of it, you have considered once in your life of seeing that event and saying, should I go and try out and see if I can get $7,000 out of the car? They keep coming up with this whole thing of you've got to hurry up as well because the government's going to shut the loop down. They've been saying that for 5 years now, for crying out loud. The point of it is 40% of your market needs to be educated. I'll give you an example of this. Did you know that the manufacturers of washing machines put CPU boards into those washing machines so they'll expire within 5 years? Did you actually know that that very same CPU board has been designed to create a mechanical fault within 18 to 24 months?
Not surprised.
Which is why when you buy a washing machine and they offer you the extended warranty, you never take it. And it's always frustrating, just as your washing machine your warranty expires, so does your washing machine. Now that's not true. I was almost taken up by Hotpoint for naming that once in a video. But can you see how I've been able to immerse you into a did you know story? So what is it about your business that you can tell someone, did you know about this? Not did you know I do this, because they were like, yes, so. What is it about the environment? What is it about the industry that you're in that you can channel and change? Because 40% of the market are like, I didn't know that. Do you know what it also does? It puts you in, I'll come to you in a second, it will put you in to what we call a state of expert authority as well. I'm a guy that knows nothing about nothing, no education from college upwards. I am not NLP certified, I haven't been certified in training, in this, I haven't got Prince 2, I haven't got that. I've worked around the world, I've worked with many companies, I've done all this kind of stuff, but do you know what I do? I research the market, I find something which will be quite statistical and authoritative, and I throw it at my customer, and my customer goes, woo, this guy knows his stuff. I'm not conning them, I'm actually demonstrating to them an aptitude. 40% of your market, we've talked about 90% already, stimulation and education. 90% of a market need to be cattle prodded or educated. Yes, did you have a question?
You refer to the market, what market are you talking about?
Any market.
So you're saying that 50% of customers who go food shopping every week want their food for free?
The behaviour that people have within. So I'll give you an example of that. This is why Sainsbury's and Tesco's and all these the supermarket chains have done so well when they do the bog-off deals. Because the mentality you have is you're looking for the value. You're looking, I can get more for less. Well, actually, it's not. It's just the perception that you have. So what they're doing, they're stimulating you, say, buy one or buy two and get the third one free. What they're
So sorry, so my question is,
Yeah.
so there's the market for everything, cars, luxury goods, everything.
Everything and anything. There are behaviours. Yes.
Want something for free.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
product has.
And when they come into that market level,
Is that a statistic that you?
it's mine. It's my statistic from my own experiences. So I haven't written any papers or journals or anything like that, but it's statistically known, and it's known. Half of this room, when I asked about Dropbox for free, and they put their hands down, typically because we are overwhelmed with so much stuff for free. Netflix, how many of you got Netflix? Yeah. How many of you got Amazon Prime? You come in on free, and then they push you up onto a premium product. What they're doing, they're stimulating you into this environment, saying, look what you can have. Now we're going to take it away from you unless you pay for it. Your emotion and your intelligence is almost held ransom to what's coming next. And sometimes in this kind of market, because it's so much noise, sometimes you have to create a cause of stimulation more than anything else. Now, I'm not saying you've got to give things away for free. You've got to make that value. You've got to stimulate them in a way where they can come through. So someone like me, when I first started in my business, I used to give free 15-minute consultations. I don't do that anymore. I charge people for my consultations, but I will give them something of additional value where we're up from there. So within the consultation, they'll be going out with tools, kits, whatever it is, and I explain that. So here's the value proposition of what I'm stimulating to. If you're not happy, just tell me and I'll give you your money back. That's also a position I play with that, because a lot of people go in, oh, you're quite expensive. I'm like, okay, fine. At the end of the day, if I gave it to you for free, you wouldn't value it. Pay for it, you've got skin in the game. If you're not happy, I'll give you that skin back. So when you look at 40% of any market, you've got to educate them. Now, this is contentious, but I'm going to say it because I'm a disruptor. 7% of any market is a no. How many times have you picked up the phone today to sell something to someone and they said no or not yet, no or not yet? Most people, when I say 7%, are you sure you've got your statistics right here? Yeah, 7%. 7%, when you hear a no, for me, a no is a not yet. For me, when someone goes, oh, can I come back to you? What that tells me is the person lacks confidence. Not confidence in buying, confidence in what you're selling. And in this environment, you've got to consult. Okay, I appreciate you may not be ready now. What is it that you're worried about? Is it the amount? Is it affordability? What is it? Consult into them. Ask the question, because sometimes it's the simplest thing. Like in my world, if I want to go and buy something, hypothetically, I have to go and get permission from the bank manager, my wife, basically. And sometimes people have this whole position, especially if you're working with other organizations or companies where they aren't the exact, they may be the buyer, but they're not the people that hold the purse strings. So don't put yourself in a position that a no is a no and you just got to move on. You hear these things about sales where people say, just move on to the next, move on to the next. Yes, there is a certain element, but you've got a small chink to just ask 2 or 3 more questions. And do you know what? Actually, the perspective changes on who you are. The perception changes. Because actually most people, when they're told no, what happens is someone tries to offer them again, where actually you said, right, fine, you don't have to buy it. I just want to understand what's stopping you from buying. I get a lot of, Ketan, I'd love to work with you, but I just can't afford you. And I said, well, what can you afford? And they're like, oh, but you must be too expensive. I said, you're assuming. What happens when you assume? Split the word, makes an ass out of you and me. I said, so you're making an ass out of me. You think that I'm not prepared to work with you because you think I'm worth, I want to charge too much money. And actually people say, oh, I didn't realize it was like that. Education, stimulation, and consultation. That leaves the last 3%. 3%. When can I have it? How many of you picked up the phone in the last couple of months and you've done the pitch of your life, or you think you've done the pitch of your life, and someone goes, you're all right? What happens? You start doing all this, and fist pumping, and the guy's like, hello, sorry. Oh my God. Do you know what's the next thing you do? You start selling to them. Everyone, when you do your pitch and someone buys you, you feel compelled to start selling more to them. Oh, and it could do this as well, and it comes with this and this and this. Have you thought this? Da, da, da. You go into this mode where you start selling to someone who's already converted. Yes, I said I want to buy it. Sometimes you talk yourself out of the sale because you become overly excited. 3% of your market has the attitude of when can I have it? Now, most people say, where are these 3%ers? I need to go and find them. That's how you approach your market. If you're starting up in business, you should be hunting for those 3%ers. So your engagement, the communication, the way you're going, you're trying to pull in the people that understand you first. Because when you get to this part of the market, you serve them. This is fantastic, Mr. Customer. I'm really pleased that you understand. You understand us and you want to buy us. Tell me something. What else could we give you? Or what else is missing from our offer? Or if you could change one thing or add one thing, what would it be? These guys understand you. So why not find the hidden secrets out of them? Don't wait to take the service and then give them a survey monkey afterwards. Do it before they've even bought, because they'll give you hidden tonality answers. I've had the same thing in my businesses where when I start consulting, I'm like, what more can I give you? Well, if you could do a bit more on this, this would be great. And it doesn't mean you have to add everything to your process and program, but it gives you an instinctive rule of what could be missing for the not yet and the people that are ill-educated on your product or service. So 3% of your market are early adopters. So when you want to stimulate, you want to develop a strategy that will allow your consumer to experience and derive value from them. That's all you want to do. You want them to experience your world. When you educate, you need to identify core statistics about your market and tell people why you do what you do. How many of you have read Simon Sinek's book? Please tell people why you do what you do, because you're human. They want to connect with the human. It's not just all about systems. Stop assuming when you're consulting. Don't assume, oh, this person's not ready for me. Sometimes it's the client that's assuming. What happens when you assume? Come on, let's try that again. What happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. Exactly. Start validating. Validation is a really important process. You need to ask and probe and these questions a little bit more, but do it in a professional manner. Be more soft. Be, in that. I understand you're not ready to buy, but it would really help me if I could understand what's stopping you from buying today. How many times has that happened to you as a customer? How many times as a consumer has someone tried to sell something and you're like, no, I'm not ready to buy, that they've turned around and asked you, what's stopping you from buying today?
Usually very aggressively so that they can try and
maneuver you around. So this is why you start with the I understand. Bring the empathy and the sympathy in before you start to program that round. And when you're serving, it's probably one of the most important. Stop selling to these people. As soon as someone says, when can I have it? Ask them, what else can I give you? Because actually, it's statistically known that when people buy using automated systems, do you know there's a secondary offer that comes in? About 86%, and don't quote me on this, but 86% of people would be tempted to go one jump up. So ask the question. We're talking about selling a bell and adding a whistle. That could be the difference between you breaking even and making profit. So I've got a couple of minutes, right? Okay, so I've been also told to talk to you about standing out, how to stand out as a speaker. So you can't really see this picture apart from this fat head of mine, basically. This is a picture from Brazil where I spoke to an audience of about 5,000. I was overwhelmed with the fact that I came into this room and these are huge pictures of me on the walls. I'm not egotistical in that way, but I'm like, holy moly, basically. It's the first thing that blew me away about this. So how do you become a standout speaker? Here are some simple rules from me. The first thing is know your audience. I think Anik done this naturally. Whoever you are, wherever you are, if you're going to get booked as a speaker, ask who's the audience going to be. If you don't get that opportunity, when you get onto stage, engage and understand who your audiences are. Where is the mix? Because that will actually tell you what sort of approach that you're going to be taking with these audiences. I've been in stages where I've had, heads of corporations right the way through to employees, and the way you engage and speak on stage with employees may be different to the way you do senior management. Then I've got things from startups right the way up to people who have done mega exits or angels. Again, knowing your audience is a very, very important thing. So rule number one, if you are getting booked or if you're going out and asking to do speaking gigs, please ask the question. It's one of the things that I spoke to Annika. How does it work? What is your audience made up of? So, that way I can get a flavour of where I'm going to go. Rule number two, know your subject. At any one point in time, there could be anyone in the room that's more educated or on the subject than you are. Don't put yourself up as I'm a flipping know-it-all, okay, because you'll get caught out. You'll get caught out very, very quickly. There's a very, very simple, straightforward question that was asked about how do you get to 50% and what are you saying? Is it in the market? It's my theory, but it's also the best that I've got to be able to answer that question. Otherwise, the whole credibility of everything I've just said just goes, whew, and the person's not saying it to doubt you. They're asking that question because they're interested in, what you're saying. But remember, there's another audience there that's listening in. So know your subject. And I'm not talking about research everything in from an encyclopedia to wiki pages. It's know the area of that topic that you're speaking about, completely intimately, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to address your audiences correctly. The other thing is bring in stories. I cannot stress enough. I mean, one of the things that Annick did at the beginning on the icebreaker is get you guys to build stories. Stories help people immerse themselves into experiences. It also makes you a human being. It shows that you have an experience in what's going on here. So there I bring in stories about my travel right the way through to my family. What happens is it brings the perspective and it brings more of a dynamic which people can immerse themselves into because people relate to a story. I'm not saying start once upon a time all the way through. Just drip in stories wherever you can. It's really, really powerful. Educate to stimulate. Tell people something new. Do you know what? I learned this is new. Someone will say I already knew that, but not everyone in the audience knows those things. So educate to stimulate. Give them, when you're telling a story, there's a learning, there's an experience. You are all individuals. You have your own experiences. You have your own stories. You have your own ability to actually tell how you felt about certain things. There are people that relate. There are people that wouldn't have known before that kind of thing could ever happened. Or it could become a situation which is a new learning zone for them. So for me, when I'm out and I'm engaging with my audiences, I do as much as I can to tell stories and tell them something new. Tell them something new or educate them on something. Did you know you thought it was like this, but this is my perception on it? And they're like, oh, okay, I've learned something new. Now, I'm not expecting when I did my presentation today that you're going to learn and take away everything. But there are one or two things you kind of knew but haven't really actioned, or you wouldn't have actioned, and now it's like, okay, there's another perspective on it. So in theory, you have learned something new, which stimulates you from that. Please, practice, practice, practice. I didn't sort of just turn up one day and do this. I mean, I was talking about to Claire earlier. On my second talk, I was brought in by a corporation to talk about innovation, and I jumped on stage and I ripped my trousers. Right here. And I had to spend the rest of the time doing this kind of shuffle. And even one person at the end of the talk said, did you want to go to the toilet? I'm like, no, I ripped my trousers. Things happen, but practice. What practice allows you to do is when you get bumps in the road, it allows you to carry on. There is nothing more devastating for anyone when you've got a speaker that kind of clamp moves and then sort of retreats back. I feel bad for them as much as anything else. So there are my 5 rules, okay? You'll get the presentation on that. So, I have an offer for you. I do have an offer for you, okay?
Free one.
No. Yes, there is free in there. I'm ready to simulate you. I talk about the fact that if you cannot see a problem, you can't solve a problem. So I offer 90-minute sessions where I work with you on your ideas, on your business, and on your gaps. I have a very quick-fire way of seeing what you're missing. It's important to understand if you can't see the problem, you can't solve it. People become oblivious to it. I've done it for almost 15 years of my life, in my career, right the way through to my profession today, basically. So normally that has a value base of about £500. Above and beyond this, I actually have my own publication out. We started this in April 2016. We have 14,000 subscribers worldwide. It's a digital magazine. We offer a subscription base where it allows you to contribute your expert authority and broadcast your business as well. So normally, if you were to try and get yourself into a magazine that has a readership over thousands plus it's international, you normally have to get past the journalist to try and get your article in, or you've got to pay a copious amount of money to actually get your advert into the magazine. I would actually give you all of that, which has a value of over 1,000 in there. So the insight session, the magazine subscription, comes in with a total value of 1,500. I'll even chuck in a few other bells and whistles after you've bought rather than before you bought, basically. And what I'm offering it at is 147 plus VAT. Why? Does anyone want to know why I'm offering it for that much? Yes. I tell you why. Because I don't want you to think you're having to buy something at such a high price and then think to yourself, I've got to overachieve on my expectations of the value that I'm going to get out of it. I've actually brought the price down so you can immerse yourself into the value. You are going to drive the value out of this product, not me. I am here merely as the ship that's the vessel that's you're going to take it through. You guys are actually going to drive through that. It's your articles, it's your adverts, it's your contributions, it's your ability and innate ability to work with me that will help you drive forward. There are a few people in this room that have worked with me and are working with me as well already at this moment in time. So for me, the value comes in what you want to do. If you're ready to do it, I'm ready to invest into you. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the 30 minutes I had. I've probably gone over that time, but he's not going to say anything to me. Thank you very much, and I'll take questions later.